The British Prime Minister completes his cabinet appointments with the first woman Northern Secretary. On a walkabout in Belfast, Dr. Mo Mowlam says the ball is in the IRA's court. And the United Kingdom wins the 42nd Eurovision Song Contest. Good evening. The new Labour Northern Secretary is, as expected, Dr. Mo Mowlam. She paid a flying visit to Belfast this afternoon, where she said that the bottom line for Sinn Féin's entry into talks remained an IRA ceasefire. The ball, she said, was in their court. Tonight, a call for peace also came from President Bill Clinton. He urged the new British Prime Minister Tony Blair to take up the torch, as he put it, and he called on the IRA to declare a ceasefire. Here, Mo Mowlam's appointment has been welcomed by the Taoiseach and by the Fianna Fáil leader. Mr Spring said he would be seeking an urgent meeting with Dr Mowlam to discuss the peace process. And he called on the two Sinn Féin MPs to become involved in talks through a ceasefire. Bertie Ahern said he looked forward to working with Dr Mowlam and in re-establishing the peace process.
Mo Mowlam's celebrated informality was much in evidence as she arrived in Belfast with a mock grimace for the boisterous media scrum that awaited her. After restoring order, she insisted on first taking questions from women journalists, who asked her what she was bringing to the job.
Sensitivity in some senses, but at the same time a directness and an openness which may help the process too. But all I can do is bring people together.
But Sinn Féin couldn't be brought into the political process until there was a ceasefire.
A ceasefire is necessary, and the ball is in the IRA's court. That is the bottom line.
And peace was the bottom line for many of the shoppers she met on an extraordinarily warm political walkabout.
Do my best. Okay.
Through all the security, her breezy style struck a chord, particularly with the women she met. There were many queries about her health and the recent disclosure that she'd been treated for a brain tumour.
There is a genuine decency among people, I believe, and if you were honest as I was, I think it makes a hell of a difference.
Mo Mowlam may have arrived at a time of unique opportunity. Her government has a huge working majority, Sinn Féin has increased its mandate, and the pressure is now clearly on for a fresh IRA ceasefire.
I think that the majority which our government has permits Mr Blair and Mo Mowlam to not just lead their own people into the new millennium, but to actually establish a firm foundation for peace and a lasting peace between the people of these two islands. So I wish her well.
But there'll be no honeymoon for Mr Adams' party in the month before the Stormont talks reconvene. Only a fresh IRA ceasefire will see them at the table.
Mo Mowlam was the first visitor to Downing Street this morning. She emerged the first woman to be made Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, departing for Belfast immediately. New Labour has promised to promote more women to Cabinet, and today Tony Blair started to deliver on that promise. The new Leader of the House is Anne Taylor, her job to manage the business of the House of Commons. The often outspoken figure of Harriet Harman is put in charge of social security. Her deputy will be Frank Field, an expert on reforming the social welfare system, which he thinks encourages idleness, fecklessness and dishonesty. He'd like to see a 5p basic tax rate paid for by higher social insurance. Another woman in the cabinet is prominent left-winger Claire Short, the new Overseas Development Secretary. Newspaper speculation earlier this week suggested she wouldn't make it to the cabinet table, as her views don't fit the new Labour image. The new Scottish Secretary is Donald Dewar, a Glasgow solicitor and safe pair of hands, who'll have to tackle the delicate issue of Scottish devolution. George Robertson, the leader of the Labour Party in Scotland, had expected to be Scottish Secretary. Instead, his appointment as Minister of Defence is seen as a promotion. And Dr Jack Cunningham has got the unenviable job of sorting out the mad cow crisis. He's Britain's new Agriculture Secretary. So far, the top appointments have gone pretty much as expected, with most of the jobs going to people who'd shadowed that portfolio from the opposition benches. With up to 100 positions to be filled, the appointments are likely to continue for the next couple of days. Meanwhile, Michael Heseltine has pulled out of the race to succeed John Major as Conservative leader. He was taken to hospital for tests today after a bout of angina overnight. He'd suffered a heart attack 4 years ago.
Talks between Zaire and President Mobutu